Hey guys, welcome to my Resident Evil 3 review. Now, let's talk about Resident Evil for a little bit, because I feel like to understand this game, you have to have a little bit of background. Resident Evil 3 is a game which was made and released in the year 1999. Capcom had a great success with the previous Resident Evil 2, so they took advantage of its success to release a spin-off title, because the actual Resident Evil 3, which was supposed to be Code Veronica, would not be done in time for the next generation, which was the PS2 and the Xbox 360. So they literally made this game in 4 months, released it just to tide you over, and what Capcom did not expect was for people to fall in love with the spin-off title, later prompting them to make more spin-off titles and emboldened them to take chances with the series. The game would gain following much like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil as one of the classics that would define the survival horror genre for many years to come. At times when Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 would receive many remasters with just cosmetic upgrades and dialogue changes and literally nothing else to have to do with the storyline. No fixes to that. Then, last year, Resident Evil 2 got a remake, a complete overhaul of the game. Not a remaster, a remake. New voice lines and a rework of the story and progression, fleshing out some characters more and focusing the game's events in a more streamlined manner. The game came out to the adoration of the public that would prompt Capcom to announce that Resident Evil 3 was also getting a remake and would come out in the year 2020, a year after the release of Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019. Now, as I was making this video, it's April 6th, 2020, and I have nothing but praise for Resident Evil 3, but that does not mean that the game is perfect. It's everything I expected it to be, and I can say I genuinely enjoyed the experience as well as being able to relive some of the nostalgia and seeing these iconic characters again, but that does not make the game perfect. Now, when I review a game, I try to be as objective as possible. Rose-colored glasses or not, a game has to be able to stand up on its own merits with no help from opinions or emotions. So I will refrain from comparing it to the game of last year, Resident Evil 2 Remake, as much as possible, and this is to make a point and get it across more clearly. I will also try to avoid to insert my opinions. I will only try to state objective facts, things that are plausible, visible, tangible, and just completely facts, just facts. Okay? So my talking points I will cover in this video deal with overall objectivity of the game, what it set out to do, how well it achieved it, and as well as playability and overall content. To make my thoughts more streamlined and easier to digest, I'll break them up into talking points. Story or plot, mechanics, controls of the characters and maneuverability, so overall feel of control of the characters, music, ambiance, and how well it was introduced into the game, voice acting and attention to details, and replayability and content management. Is it worth your money? Now, some of you do consider graphics to be a point of contention. I do not, since graphics are a style choice and overall most times won't determine if I like a game or not. For example, Cell was released and it was a completely pixelated game. And compared to a lot of newer titles with motion capture and visual effects that would put Hollywood to shame, in some aspects you can't really compare them. However, I will make it a point to talk about it, but it will not affect my overall score. So let's talk about the story and plot. For the most part, it follows the game faithfully. However, a lot of things were pulled out to the positive and to the advantage of this game, actually. They pulled out Jill going to the Raccoon Police Department, which I think was a great choice. They pulled out the clock tower, which I think was probably a lesser great choice. They pulled out the park, which did nothing for the game. So, people are actually a bit ticked about this because this makes the game shorter. But overall, these choices improved the plot. Why? Jill doesn't go to the Raccoon Police Department, therefore Nemesis doesn't go to the Raccoon Police Department. He doesn't blow holes in the wall with a rocket launcher. So that's already a positive. That's already fixing so much. Alright, so besides that, everything progresses relatively the same. The plot's still the same of the game. If you like the plot and story from then, you'll like this plot and story here. Another thing about the story and the plot is the story feels more streamlined. It feels a lot more digestible. It feels easier to follow. Whereas Resident Evil 3, the original, gave you many branches, branching paths that was also pulled out of the game. I feel like that was a mistake. They should have had the branching paths, but made it more streamlined, focused a little bit more. I would not have minded to have played this game in 2021 if they would have had more time to streamline and make sure that these paths are still in the game and that they had these options for you. So that's that. Mechanics and controls of the characters and maneuverability. Now let's talk about the actual physics and controllability and the control mapping. It does pull a lot from its predecessors. Same engine, same control scheme, same everything from Resident Evil 2. However, in this game, they introduced a dodge mechanic, which was in the original game, but in the original game, it was clunky and it was dog shit. Alright, there was no way you were avoiding anything unless you timed it to the utmost. Here, it's easier to pull off, and it's a little bit less of a hassle to pull off. Just wait for the right timing, but the timing can be tricky to get. So I do see how some people will be upset about this. However, if you practice enough, if you dodge enough enemies, you'll eventually get so good at it that you could speedrun the game in less than 2 hours simply by dodging everything in your path. So let's talk about the music and ambiance. Well, let me tell you, the music in this game is phenomenal. It is so good. Alright, they took the original music from Resident Evil 3, repolished it, refurbished it, gave it its own fresh take, and they put it in this game as if to make up for the fact that last year they didn't have enough music in the game. It is so neat, because the first time I walked into a safe room and I heard that classic safe room music, and it was revised and it sounded fresh and new and it reverberated in my spine, I loved it. It was very well composed, it was very well introduced. The music never feels out of place. There's no moment where you're just walking casually down an alley and nothing's happening, but there's like an orchestra of music going on behind you. Everything is subtle, everything is to the T, everything is beautifully composed, and I honestly adore the music in this game. That is my opinion, that I adore it. Objectively, the music is very well done. And the ambiance, it does help. Because ambiance deals a lot with sound. So if you get the sound right, you can get the feel of the game right. Okay? Voice acting and attention to details. Voice acting in this game feels great. The characters sound like they could plausibly have these voices. Everybody can act really well. Their lines sound like naturally. Like this is actually happening to them, and this is not just a person behind the screen going, "Oh no, I'm going to die." No. The voice actors feel good. They feel natural. They feel like they actually had some love for what they were doing, and I genuinely enjoyed this new, refreshing take on the voice acting. Because the dialogue was new, the voice actors new, the models are new. We needed this. We needed the new actors to bring in that fresh, energy into the voice acting and department. But Details is a bit different. Details, I have to praise Capcom for this. The new engine that they have that they're working with is doing nothing but good things for them. The puddles look amazing. The lights reflecting off the puddles look amazing. The actual environment and how much care they put into placing things in certain areas and making different ways to get around a certain area. Amazing. Everything about this game made so much sense. The details made so much sense. The characters look disgusting. Like when they need to look disgusting. The enemies look disgusting when the enemies need to look disgusting. It is so much attention to detail, and I am happy for it. It is so good. I cannot praise them enough for the amount of effort they're putting into this. Now, replayability and content management. Is it worth your money? Okay. I have to say it is not worth $60. Resident Evil 3 should not have been $60. Because there's barely any content. Once you beat the story mode in under like 4, 5, 6 hours. That's if you explore everything. Like, you really take your time in looking at everything. You could possibly finish this game in 5 hours. If you really tried, if you really just ran through it. But I do feel like they didn't have enough content either. They have maybe 3 outfits for Joe, 2 outfits for Carlos, and one of them is just literally a hair change. They have maybe 2 infinite weapons, a rocket launcher and a machine gun, and then the samurai edge and some perk upgrades to make you stronger, shoot faster, or give you some more space, inventory space, and that's it. There's no alternate modes, there's no escape the city in 5 minutes, there's no any of that, and I feel like that's to the detriment of this game. They needed that extra content, that extra replayability to be able to keep people enticed in Resident Evil 3. But right now, it just feels like they made this just like back then. They were like, okay, we need a Resident Evil title. Come on, we gotta shove something out. Resident Evil 8 ain't coming out in no time soon, so we need something to carry them over. And that's literally what it happened. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like we're back in 1999 when Code Veronica was supposed to come out, but they said, you know what, we don't got time. PS5 is around the corner. Throw out Resident Evil 4 real quick. Like Resident Evil 3 real quick. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're like, oh, Resident Evil 2 did good? Cool, this is Resident Evil 3. That's what it feels like. Because they could have done so much more. In Resident Evil 2, Leon got like 4 different outfits, and Claire got like 6. There was a bunch of infinite weapons. There was so much customizability. There was so much replayability in Resident Evil 2, because now you could speed run it. There was survivors mode. There was mercenaries. There was so much. Not mercenaries. I lied. Not mercenaries. Survivors mode. There was survivors mode where you could run out as Hunk, or play as Kendo, or play as one of the survivors, other survivors. Like, there was so much you could do with Resident Evil 3 that you did not do, and for that I'm upset. So I do not think it's $60. I would say that if you are not a fan and $60 seems like a steep price for you to pay, definitely hold back a bit, wait until it drops to maybe 40, 50, and then maybe buy it. If it's honestly something you want, because $60 too much. I would not recommend you pay $60 for this game. It does not have enough playability for it. It's beautiful and it does everything great, but the amount of content and the amount of playtime you'll get out of it, I finished it in one night. One sit down, 6 hours, I finished it. Just saying. Okay? Alright, guys. So, what's my overall score? I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I feel like that's fair. I feel like it's fair because this game does so much right, and it does so much good for the lore and for the story, and for everything that's already been established. It does so much to just casually, just fix a lot of the issues that the original game had. Music's great, mechanics work fine, voice acting's phenomenal, and the story is the same story but streamlined and beautiful. I can't say anything bad about that, but it is not worth $60. There isn't enough playability, there isn't enough content for me to keep coming back, and some of the voice acting at times did feel a bit wonky. Even though I'm praising the voice acting, at points it did sound like they were kind of phoning it in, or like the emotion didn't match. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button to see when I put out another video. And if you want to see more reviews like this, go ahead and leave a comment of a game you want to see me review. Whether it be a future title, an old title, I will definitely give it a shot and pull out a review, objective review on if it's good or not, is it worth the money that when it came out and everything. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button, and I'll see you guys next time.